What's going on, my fellow resellers and budding detectives? Because that's kind of what we do here, right? We do detective work to try to figure out how to make sales. So sales is kind of like our side gig right now, right? Trying to stay alive with these ups and downs of eBay. And I got to tell you, it is really hard to stay motivated right now. Like these last couple of days, like yesterday was a pretty brutal day for me selling. I was like all ready to make a video. And I don't know about you, but I am totally like out of my routine because of just the downs, the sales deserts. And I don't really care for that phrase, but that's kind of what it is, right? For example, and I'm waiting for my sales oasis, by the way. But like today, I went all the way until about 6:30. I did not have a sale all day. And then from 6:30 until 8:30, I think I got 4 or 5 sales. And then I got another one to get up to like 140 for the day, 135-ish for the day. But after a brutal day yesterday, I think I got up to like $45. And then today was looking like a 0 day. It was like there weren't that many offers coming in. Or let me rephrase that. There wasn't that many offers that I could send out. And then just something picked up. And that is just not normal. Yesterday I was starting to feel like it was taking me back to the July time when the impressions dropped off and the promoted listings was a big topic. And I don't know why it's still not a big topic. I think it's a topic that's causing a lot of problems with search, with, I don't know. There's people who do all kinds of tests and, they promote it this amount and then they raise it. Their promoted listings that doesn't really seem to be to raise it incrementally. And it's just frustrating. It really does feel like eBay is just punishing people who don't promote at high amounts. So we're going to do some what solds, not because I had amazing sales, but because I had some cool things that I thought I'd share with the class. A little bit of a story about an upsell. I mean, you got to do all the things to get sales these days. I'm gonna read you a conversation from somebody that I met through the channel, and we kind of talked quite a bit throughout the day, and his sales are brutally down, and he's quite vocally and rightfully so frustrated with how eBay is really just handling everything, like right down from the communication to the changes that were made in April that basically, and I'm talking to the people out there whose sales have dropped off, right? Like, for example, if eBay were a type of government, it really truly feels like we're moving into a socialistic e-commerce model, right? I can speak for myself. My sales have dropped off dramatically. And I know a number of other people are in that same boat. Now, we all collectively, we're all searching out on YouTube to find out what do people know. There's been numerous videos out there that have been talking. I don't know anything new right now. I have no new information. I'm just extremely frustrated, as is my friend who I'm going to read this to you. But it feels like we're starting to get accustomed to X amount of sales now. For example, James over at My Boring Reseller Life used to do $1,000 to $1,200 every single day, or from the time that I started watching him, which was in, I want to say April, May, kind of like when I kind of went on YouTube. Up until then, I did not watch any reselling videos. I didn't consume anything on YouTube. And he was killing it. And now he's basically saying that his new eBay normal sales are right around 5 to 550 per day. So about half. And, you know, it's like we're just slowly getting used to and being grateful, right? Being grateful for these sales. It's like, oh, thank you, eBay, for, you know, giving me these sales that whatever you changed back in April, I don't know. I feel that we're all collectively just waiting for the next eBay's earnings report. And I think we're all hoping that it's bad. I mean, I can say that. I hope it's bad so they can see that whatever they're doing is not working. So I think that's a good place to cue this information, because I want to see if, I can't remember why I wanted to read it to you, but I just thought that there was some good information in here that he says better than I could say. And how this conversation was setting up was, somehow I was talking about when I worked back in Pennsylvania. I worked for a steel company for a summer job, and then it turned into a full-time job when and then I was a laborer, and then I worked my way up into the office. And then as I worked in the inventory department at Latrobe Steel. And I just remember thinking, like, the higher up the executives go, I feel like they have no common sense. And then he was like, well, that describes eBay right now. I don't want to hear about anything other than what we need to do to get sales. No maybes, just what actually works. And this is the same thing that I keep hearing Josh Galt talk about on his channel, is he just wants to know, what do we have to do to make sales? Is what we're experiencing right now, is it the new normal, or is it a temporary glitch, right? Everyone's talking about high sell-through rates, large stores, no bad. Large stores, bad. Small stores, good. But here, think about this. I was thinking about, if everybody started to go out and source things that have high sell-through rates, right? Let's see. Everybody who watches this channel tomorrow went out trying to find high sell-through rate items. Number one, it's not that easy. Number two, you're going to start to see some common items that are showing up, that people listing. They're going to become saturated. Then there's going to be a race to the bottom for those particular items. So sellers are going to be getting lower prices on those things. eBay is going to be making lower commissions on those things. It doesn't make any sense. And for one, if I had something that had a high sell-through rate, I'd rather sell it locally on Marketplace or Craigslist. If I know that it's going to sell, and I know that a lot of people are searching for these same items to source on eBay, why would I want to list it on eBay? This is what I cannot wrap my head around. eBay to me has always been the place where you go to sell items that you're going to get a high return on, that you can't sell locally, right? And then these shutdowns where, I don't know, you just feel it. You hear people talk about it all the time. My store just shut down. It's just, shut down from 6 to 6 a.m. the next day. That shouldn't happen. That's the whole point of us selling on eBay, is so we can be open 24 hours a day, right? There should be no shutdowns. Okay, continuing on. But I have a feeling that this is the new eBay for a year or two. I just want eBay to say yes or no that my hard work is going to be rewarded, and why it will be rewarded. This is why I'm having a hard time getting into a groove of listing, because I feel like, are my items being seen? And this is where I'm a little bit torn, because I do feel like my items are being seen. So I can't really explain, like when I'll go into an incognito browser and then I'll look, and I don't, maybe I'm doing it too soon after I've listed it, so it has that new listing boost. I need to go back and look at, anyhow, gotta make mental notes, but I've got lots of notes here I want to talk about. This one's going to be all over the place because that's just where I'm at right now. I'm kind of all over the place. I'm like up and down and not really, I'm feeling this exact same way. Like, is it even worth it to list this thing on eBay? This is now back to, I don't believe that they covered that at the reseller thing. Seems like they talked about this and that and the other thing, but not that eBay will actually put your products in front of buyers. So he was saying he was referring to eBay Open. Seems like they talked about this, that, and the other thing, but not that eBay will actually put your products in front of buyers. That's their job. There's an expletive there, but I'm not going to read that. So you can just fill in. That's their job. That's it. Literally, our job is to list items, describe price them accurately so that eBay has something to put in front of buyers. eBay's job is not to try and gouge us, and in doing so, messing up the search algorithm. And I do believe promoted listings is a big part of the problem. I mean, with search, and I think it's also a big problem with costs to us. And actually, I wanted to ask you guys, what is it? What are your selling costs at? Mine is at 16. Sorry, my selling costs for, well, that's just for the last month. So let's just do for the year. Because I'm curious what other sellers' selling costs are. So mine right now is at 16.2% because I promote very low. But I know some people's that are in the 30s and 40%. So if you want to share that information, I think it would be good to see what other people, what other sellers' selling costs are, because I think it can be eye-opening when you realize how much that we're actually giving to eBay, especially for them doing the same thing that they were doing pre-promoted listings. Okay, so here's the problem. eBay wants to make extra money off of the promoted listings. And I do want to say this. I do think there's a way that promoted listings, in theory, should be done. I think it should be, think about I don't know, maybe go back a year, and then, so go back a year and then go back a year before that. And then you look at that year and you see what your sales are, you see what you've been selling, and get that as a baseline. So from 22 to 23, or 21 to 22, regardless, it's irrelevant. Like, let's say that's your baseline. If you want to pay more, then pay more, and make more. And that's the way promoted listings should be. It shouldn't be, we're going to not allow you to, we're not going to show your stuff unless you do it. That is scarcity mindset. And it's damaging. It's damaging to a seller, and it's damaging to the relationship that we have with eBay. And if they want a good relationship with us, which I'm not convinced that they do right now, I know they've reached out to some sellers and it's like on YouTube, but nothing has come of that. That's my Mark Ship alert. Okay, so I'm going off on a lot of tangents today. So here's the problem. eBay wants to make money off promoted listings, but they can't just say, you'll be ranked 1 to 20 on the 20 copies of this item based on how much you promote, and then your analytics for how good a seller you are. The reason that they can't do this, if they show all 20 in a row, then they're not going to get that much in promoted, because the extra that is paid doesn't make up for how little difference there is in the listings. They're 1 through 20, so the buyer will have too much choice and buy what's best for them. So to make it worth the while of the people who will pay the higher promoted fees, they have to put some space between 1 and 2 and 3, etc. But in doing so, they lower the chance of a sale, as the promoted seller at the top doesn't necessarily have the best price or in the best condition. And this is where collectibles come into play. Well, not just collectibles. I mean, shirts and jeans, it can be different condition issues. And when you hide the other 15 people who aren't promoting, you aren't giving the choice you had as a buyer that you had before as a buyer. And we and eBay want the buyer to have the best experience, right? That means getting the best price for the buyer as well, relative to the condition of the item. Even though what they wanted was right there, this in turn means fewer sales for eBay, because they want those extra few pennies from the promoted listings. Final fees are going down, 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 because sales are going down, down, down. Jamie has decided that he's not really worried about retention of buyers, which isn't a good look or strategy. It seems in his mind people will just replace those who leave, but not if a word gets out. What he should have done is worked on fixing the existing issues and attracting new buyers. Josh hit the nail on the head, Josh Galt, on one thing. eBay is chasing the younger buyers, the one with no disposable income. I want the 40-something with a job and some breathing room that the young guy or girl doesn't have. I would say I want them both. And I think you don't need to sacrifice one for the other. I think there's strategies that you can do to get both. The older person is stable, most likely has a well-paying job, but I agree. Like, ideally, you want to be heavily focusing on this crowd. Their kids may be gone, so they don't have to spend money on them. And in essence, people who can outspend the majority out of the 20-something. I'm trying not to swear. But hey, let's ignore them and cater to those with no money. It's kind of true. Let's also take more and more money from our sellers so they can't source because they took that money. People sell and their price... So people sell, we sell, and we pay our fees, we have to pay our bills, and then having extra leftover money to expand our business through sourcing. But eBay is taking that extra money on top of shipping prices going up as well, and sourcing getting more expensive. This really, truly is. It really is such a perfect storm of the reselling downsizing, let's just call it that seems to be in full swing right now. Our friend Jamie has created a death spiral which he won't address, and none of the big stockholders seem to be calling him out. What are your guys' thoughts on that rant? Because it is a rant, but it's a very accurate rant, and it encapsulates a lot of what we're going through and how we feel, and how eBay is essentially missing the boat here of communicating and with sellers. Like, everybody often says it's eBay's toy box, sandbox, and we just play in it, right? If you don't like it, you can leave, right? I get that. But they have come out and they have said, we care about our sellers, which is the whole point of them reaching out to a couple different YouTubers, resellers. But they just listened, right? They just listened, and they never got back to Josh yet to so did they suddenly don't care? Because I kind of call BS on them genuinely caring about our seller experience. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. The whole thing is going on with James and the Vero and the international shipping program. Honestly, I talked about the potential of getting Veros being in the international shipping program months ago, like way long ago, back in, I want to say May. That's because I was going through some Vero stuff, and I was just like, this is just not worth it. And the fact that eBay basically forced everybody into this program, didn't give anybody a heads up that like a list of things that you might not want to have on the international shipping program. They kind of just threw people under the bus. And I was thinking about something. I was thinking, like, if eBay put you in the international shipping program and you got a Vero because of that, because of something that you sold, number one, it's impossible for us to know what we can and can't sell in other countries. It's hard. It's impossible for us to know what we can and can't sell in the States because there's no list. Add the international aspect to it. If eBay put us in that program and then we got a Vero, honestly, eBay should be the one getting the Vero over that. That's what I feel about that. I don't know. All right, let's see here. So going back to the sandbox analogy, eBay has invited us into the sandbox, essentially the proverbial sandbox. They've invited us in because they claim that they want to have good relationships with sellers, whatever that means. We don't know yet because they've only listened. But the thing is they have to be aware of the biggest issues that affect sellers, right? They have to be aware of them. We know that they watch videos, and a good gesture of goodwill, I guess, a good gesture of goodwill would be them communicating with us about what they're doing to solve these problems. And they don't have to go into super big detail. They don't have to spill any proprietary trade secrets or anything like that. But I think the fact that they don't acknowledge, they act like everything is honky-dory. And they don't acknowledge, it's almost like we're being gaslit on some level. And that's not a good feel. Let's get to some what sold. I don't know. This is exhausting. It's exhausting. It's mentally draining. So anyhow, to recap, what do you guys think of... I don't think he has a problem with me saying his name, but I did consent to use this, by the way. But what do you think about his rant? Is it accurate? Is it inaccurate? Should we just shut up and accept whatever eBay gives us in terms of sales, in terms of knowledge? I just think when I hear that they're contacting people and that they want to create change in a positive manner, create some change. Don't contact people and then not follow through. What? Because there's a little bit of bad PR on YouTube. can't be scared away from that. Like, the way to fix it is to get in front of it, right? Address the issues. At least come out with some sort of a statement as to, what are we supposed to do? Are we, again, the same question. Do I keep listing? Do I keep working? And I don't want to hear that, that eBay is telling us what to do by not telling us what to do, because they're not telling us anything, right? They're leaving it up to interpretation. Okay, so there were a few orders that went out that I didn't get to cover. Honestly, I was just like, I don't really even see the point of doing what sold videos, except that's like the funnest part, is to actually show something that sold. And I kind of want to talk about a few things too, because honestly, upselling is so important, is so key right now. So for example, the guy yesterday bought this button for $8, and I told him that anything that he wanted to add to his order, as long as the total package remained under £1, I'll do free shipping on. And then he added 2 more buttons. I think just 2 more. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. He added this one. I don't know why I'm wearing this button. And he got the older buttons. The older ones are the ones that have these sharp edges that go past. And this one's actually in really good shape. I have no idea the history behind this. And then, this is my personal favorite. Nobody for president. That's about how I feel when it comes to politics. None of them are good. And that's a whole nother side topic. And then he added this hat. And I actually love this hat. I actually thought about keeping it, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't look right on me. So this was $25. These 2 buttons were like, I think this one was $9. And the whole order came out to be $54. And I'll start with an $8 button. Free Gus. I have no idea what that means. I actually asked him because I enjoy the history behind buttons, political buttons or just the advertising ones. And, I enjoy the looking them up and kind of, getting a little bit of a history lesson. So yeah, this just sold. I'm literally just accepting the offer right now. This sold for $8. So let's see if I can, Orange Whip. I don't even know what that is. So I'm going to see after he pays if I can get him to add any more. This owl from Pottery Barn. It is paper mache. I actually threw in an owl bag in there as well. I thought whoever would like this would like an owl bag. This actually had quite a few viewers. I honestly did not want to sell this on eBay. I really tried to sell it locally because I just didn't want to have to package it. And I have one box that is perfect, but it might be too snug. And then I have another one that I might have to Frankenstein a little bit. So this was my first sale of today. And I was like, so this sold for $45. I picked it up for $6, and yeah, I charged quite a bit of shipping, but luckily it's staying in this zone, so it's only a few states away. And yeah, maybe they're buying it for Halloween. I don't know. So. Okay, Ghost, which is one of my new favorite bands I discovered last year. If you haven't listened to Ghost, they're and Blizzard. I don't actually know what Blizzard is. Both of these sold for $26, including shipping. If you're a product of the 80s and you like 80s music, these guys are a heavy metal band, but they're also very poppy. Like it's like they have, like they're from Sweden. They all wear masks when they perform. They have a very specific theme, and the people that are in the crowds is so diverse. And what else was that? What else did I want to say? Oh, the Tobias Forge is kind of like the mastermind behind the band, and he's heavily influenced by like the 80s and ABBA, but also like death metal as well. But their latest album is very accessible, and they are just extremely talented. So yeah, there's that. I sold this lot of buttons. They're all the same. It says knowledge for whom. These sold for $24 including shipping. I sold this shot glass, Gala Cerveza Guatemala. This sold for $12 plus shipping. I just thought I'd never seen that particular brand of beer, and I thought, well, pay $1.50 and turn it into 12. And then this comic, Dracula and the Wolfman, sold for $12 including shipping. And I got one more thing I gotta go find. So I guess if I could sum up what the whole point of this video is I feel like to some degree we've become kind of complacent, right? I know I have on some level. It's like you start to feel like things might start to be picking up, and then you have like 3 or 4 crappy sales days. And then you get hopeful, and it just feels like we're all walking on eggshells. And it's affecting, I do want to talk about the James thing here. James got a Vero, and he got like a final warning, and he said the next thing is going to be a suspension. And it was for something that is just so... It's things like this that drive me nuts, because I remember when I had some Vero issues, it's like you're just waiting for the other shoe to fall. You're just waiting, and you didn't do anything wrong, and there's no due process. There's no eBay, if you're listening, it's not right to treat long-term sellers, people who have been on the platform for, in James's case, 22. There should be a dedicated line where we can talk when things like this arise. Talk to somebody who has common sense, can look at the things and be like, don't make us wait 24 to 48 hours. That is just unacceptable. If somebody from eBay is listening right now, imagine that you are a seller and you've been doing everything right, more than right, and you get something taken down, and you're like, yeah, the next time this happens, of which you had no control over, you're going to get a 3-day suspension. And if this is what you do to put food on your table, imagine how that would make you feel. It wouldn't be very nice. And again, I'm basing all of this on the fact that you, eBay, actually care about sellers, because you've expressed an interest to create goodwill, right? But again, nothing has happened. And so the whole point of this video is for the sellers to not be complacent, to demand the most basic of things, like a line that we can talk to when problems happen, is due process. Not make us feel like we have no control of our own business and future. It's debilitating and it's damaging. And the things that are happening on the platform right now are the opposite of what eBay, of what you're saying, right? So there's incongruency right now between what you're saying and what you're doing. And I always tell Maria that you pay attention to what somebody does, not what they say. And if there's incongruency, then what they're doing is really their true intention. So if you do want to have goodwill and good relationship with sellers, which you say you do, again, I'm trying to stress your words, not mine, your sandbox. But you're inviting us in, and you got to do something, because a lot of sellers are struggling right now. And yeah. All right, before I show the last two items that have sold and they're going to the same person, I want to give a shout out to Darth Thrifter. He's been making some videos. I just want to say I do enjoy them, and we all got to start somewhere. So I wanted to say, to recommend that you guys give him a little bit of love. He's got a newer YouTube channel. He's very authentic, and he's got a great sense of humor. And he shows what he sold, and he talks. He just talks from the heart, and I appreciate that. So, and I wanted to give a shout out to April Davis, PI. It's a funny story. She discovered my video way back in July, and then somehow lost it. And then she essentially did a reaction video. I'll link that below, because. And then she couldn't remember who I was. So it was just, I watched this video the other day, and I was just like kind of laughing, and it kind of re-inspired me, and it kind of reminded me. And I think that's partly where this video is kind of coming from a little bit, is because it seems like not a lot has changed. Here we are in the Q4. I don't think it's going to be a good Q4. It doesn't feel like. And again, I know some of it's the economy, but if I'm being honest, I feel it's like 80% eBay, 20% the economy. And okay, so April, I love that video. I'm going to link it below if anybody wants to watch another very authentic YouTuber. Yeah, it kind of re-inspired me. And I think part of where this video, I think maybe it came from that. And I wanted to make the video yesterday, but I was just too deflated with kind of like what's going on. And I also wanted to say, like, I was watching some of Brian over Arena Vision, some of his videos from back in July, and he was commenting on how slow the Q4 was, and how there were like a lot of excuses being made as to why things were slow. And then I remember watching videos of his, I want to say in like March and April, and he was really talking about how his own particular sales have just fallen off of a cliff then. And I'm sure that it has to do with the changes that were made. And we always say April 1st. Some people think it might have been mid-March. Some people have theories that it could be what servers you were on as to which day it really affected your account. But the bottom line is, there's no questioning that, things have changed, and it remains to be seen if it's for the good, or for the good of who? For the good of the sellers, for the good of eBay. Yeah, and I just, yeah. So anyhow, I'm going to leave that. I feel like I've said enough. So the last two items was a couple poster prints by Robert Bateman. I woke up to a question about this one. And then it was like he wanted to know about the creasing and how bad it was. And I gave him an honest answer. And then I noticed that he had there were two items from Robert Bateman that were in to send out offers. So I think I sent out like 5% offers, and then sent a message saying that you would only be paying one shipping and handling fee. And then, 6 hours later, he ended up buying them. So, maybe he needed to think about it, or who knows, life gets in the way. So yeah. So that was out. Though those two combined, I believe they were like 60. Wrong store. $63 plus $8 shipping and handling. So yeah, all my sales came in a flurry of a couple hours, which is just not normal, and it's been kind of dead ever since, except for that one $8 orange crush button or whatever that sold. So yeah, so if you're still here and you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Do all the things, like, comment, let me know what you're, again, you know, I'm always trying to get a pulse of sales. I mean, I've heard some people going 5 days with no sales. And if you do want to divulge what your average selling, what your selling costs are, I think it would be eye-opening to what some people's are. But maybe people don't want to share that. I don't know. But yeah. Anyhow, take care. Peace and blessings to you guys, and we will talk to you soon.